Tree Country 1330 WTRE. Good morning, 10:07. This morning we are welcoming Decatur County Commissioner Jeremy Pasel. Jeremy joining in on our monthly rotation. So this is your first one. Welcome.
It is. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, so there's so much going on in Decatur County right now, and you and I were talking. It looks like it's all happening like right now, and it is, but it's all been in the works.
Yeah, a lot of these different projects are things that take a year or more to plan and to actually get to the phase that they're at now, so that people are seeing them now and thinking that everything just started. But a lot of this was planning that started at least a year, maybe 2 years ago.
So I think let's kick off the biggest open change you can see right now is at the Decatur County Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of change going on there. So kind of lead us through how that is taking place, how we're funding that, all of those kind of things.
So I first became aware of the project and the initial plans when I became a commissioner back at the beginning of 2023. There were already some initial designs that had been created, and so that process then started moving forward. The application for the Ready 2.0 project was then sent into the state last year, and so the Ready project is an incentive from the state of Indiana where 50% of the money for the project, if it's approved, comes from the state. The other 50% has to come from either your local government or donations. And so in this particular project, the application that was submitted was for $4 million. And so $1.2 million would be local government money. The other $800,000, as the application was submitted, would be from private donations. Those donations can be in cash format, or they could also be for in-kind work. And so there's several different aspects here that we'll be looking at in-kind work, from maybe the excavating or different parts of the actual physical work to upgrading the electrical at the fairgrounds. So there are some different aspects where we will be seeing in-kind work, and the fundraising part of the project is going to be kicking off here soon. I'm pretty excited. We have a great group of folks on the fundraising committee for this project, and I'm really excited about what I think we can do on the project.
Let's talk to the Decatur County Fair Board. Kind of have an evolution that's happened there. So where's the Fair Board stand right now?
So the commissioners, before I was in office, had taken over the fair, and then last year I wrote new bylaws for the fair committee, and so the new fair committee was established last year in 2024. So we have a new fair committee. The president of the fair committee is Kevin Kreitz, and we are leading the charge on that committee to run the fair. The bylaws have gone in and really laid out what the exact responsibilities are for that committee. And I think it's pretty detailed on what we're supposed to be doing now as a fair committee. I'm on the committee. The commissioners and the council also have a representative. And so we're leading the charge. I think it's going to be another great fair. We're getting a lot of sponsorships and other donations like we have the last couple of years, so it's coming together.
If Mark Heart was here, he would tell us how many days, because he does this to me every week. I'm like, that's a little heart attack mode right now. Let's
I
not
can't
do
keep
that.
track of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you look at the fairgrounds right now, one of the buildings has come down, as well as the one food stand. So
Yep.
tell us how we're working through that process.
So there's different aspects of the Ready project. The biggest one that everyone's seeing right now is that the old community building has been torn down and the Optimist booth has been torn down. The footprint that you're going to be seeing there, as I drove by earlier today coming here, that's where the new community building is going to sit. It's going to be a great structure. It's going to, I think, fill a void in our community that we've had for a long time, and that void is the ability to host large events, exhibitions, conventions here in Decatur County, so that a lot of our not-for-profits that have to leave our community to do fundraisers or host conferences, they aren't going to have to leave Decatur County anymore. So the building is going to house the extension office, but it's also going to be able to have 600 to 650 people sitting at tables. And
in heating or air, right?
Heating or air.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. There's an awning, a porch area on the south end of the building. The building runs east-west. And then we're looking at the option of being able to put another kind of porch on the eastern end of that building that'll be similar to what the Optimist booth was.
All right. Now, will the Optimist be returning to the fair this year? Do we know about that?
I haven't heard officially if they're going to actually come back this year. The last that I had heard is that they might take this year off, and then once we have the new structure built, then I think they might be looking at coming back next year. So after we get past the new building, we're going to be also looking at doing upgrades to the farm and home building bathrooms, because those haven't been touched in years.
It's time.
If you go in there during the fair, if it's 90 degrees outside, it's going to be 110 in those bathrooms. They haven't been upgraded. A lot of folks, I don't think, realize the amount of rentals that are actually out at the fairgrounds. And so we had, I think last year, over 30 different events, 30 different rentals at the fairgrounds, and a lot of those were using the farm and home building. And so that's throughout the year. And so that was the reason that we wanted to get those bathrooms heated and cooled, so that they're comfortable and they're usable throughout the year, even in the winter months. So the bathrooms are going to be upgraded, fixtures are going to be upgraded, they're going to be heated and cooled so that they can be used year round. We're also upgrading the electrical at the fairgrounds. Right now, a lot of the electrical is fairly old, and so our EMC is going to come in and they're going to upgrade the electrical. We're also going to be burying the electrical lines so that we don't have overhead lines anymore. We don't have issues with getting different kinds of equipment around the fairgrounds. It's just a safety concern. We're also going to be increasing the phase to different buildings so that we have fewer power issues during the fair, during cattle battle, where we are popping circuits just because we're trying to overload things. So I think we're going to take care of some of those concerns to increase the usability and the safety out at the fairgrounds. We're also going to be doing improvements down to the horse barn and the horse arena. If you drive by there today, you'll actually see...
That was one of my questions. What's happening down there?
Yeah, so that area is notorious for water issues.
It's terrible.
They sit down there where not only do they have concerns about the creek, but also the runoff water from up on top of the hill on the rest of the fairgrounds. And so right now they are actively tiling the horse arena. It looked like there were 5 runs of tile through the arena is what they're working on today. So hopefully we can get a lot of those standing water concerns out of the arena. And then we're also going to recrown the arena so that it has the proper shape, so that it's not a bowl that holds water in the middle of the fairgrounds.
I always say the horse kids, they tolerate it, but we get one good rain and it really wipes out their day. So.
Yeah, and for so many kids, I mean, I was a 10-year 4-H'er, did many 4-H. You're counting on that year round, and you're excited about bringing your animals or your project to the fair, and then something like that happens, and it's a damper on them in more ways than one,
Yes.
I guess. So we want to be able to try and provide the ability for them to go in and show in the least amount of time or wait time after the rain.
Now, when we are approaching, because the fair's coming rapidly, what's construction going to look like as we move into that fair week?
So this will tie in probably to part of our conversation later today or later this morning. We are still in the process of getting the community building up and moving. With construction, you can go out and you can see excavation that's actually working right now for site prep. The farm and home building bathroom should be done. The tiling for the horse barn should be done. Still kind of waiting on seeing where we're going to get with the horse barn improvements. The electrical work is not going to be done until after the fairground or after the fair, and also after the Power of the Past. Okay. So it'll be sometime later in the fall, so that we are negatively impacting any of those larger events that are happening. The building, I'm not sure if it'll actually be up and standing yet. We already own the building at this point. We had gone ahead and purchased the building earlier in the year because tariffs were going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so at this point, with the purchase of the building, the exterior and interior steel, we were able to avoid over a 20% increase in the cost. And so that was a great move to avoid some of those expenditures or additional expenditures to get this project done. But so next week, I'm going to the council just to get final approval, because with the change in the administration on the state level,
yes,
the governor had announced that there will be an audit of the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. And the RADI project runs through the EDC, the IEDC, the Indiana Economic Development. And so there has been a pause in the distribution of funds for RADI projects and RADI 2.0, which this is a RADI 2.0 project. And so we just need to make that final commitment that, yes, we're going to proceed forward on this. We believe that funding is still there because the appropriations were already made by the state last year for RADI 2.0 projects. The governor, it looks like, is just going back and actually ensuring that these are viable projects that EDC on the state level is doing the work that they should be doing and making appropriate expenditures.
The biggest holdup, and we talked with Mayor Marsh last week about this, is that there's just not a timeline as far as when those funds will be released.
Yeah, it makes somebody sitting in my seat a little uncomfortable. That's for sure. We don't have a drop dead date on when it is that we're going to be getting these funds. We initially were kind of looking at maybe the July 1 time period. Then I'd been told maybe later the fall. We might be looking now towards 2026. So we just have to be prepared for it and be willing to take that and make sure that we have a good project here that's going to benefit the community, which I think this will. Being able to have a fairgrounds that is usable year-round, not just during the fair, I think that's what this building can do. That's what the improvements with the electrical can do, and that's also when you're looking at the heating and cooled bathrooms in the farm and home building. We're talking about a fairgrounds that can be used 365 days a year. That's a big boost to our community from a financial standpoint because we're bringing in additional funds to the community. That means less tax dollars that are having to be spent to support different areas, whether it's the fairgrounds or other departments in the county. When we're being able to generate those kinds of additional funds, that's less tax dollars that we have to spend.
Those bathrooms are the best news all day. I'm just telling you. And again, just for clarification for people listening, that is a Ready 2.0 program. So we're not funding that completely from the county.
No, it's not. It's 50-50 between the state and local money, and then the local money is split in this particular project, $1.2 million from county government and then $800,000 from those local donations.
All right, let's scooch up the road a little bit. We'll talk about the ball diamonds. The turf is here.
It is here, and the ball diamonds are active. It's been pretty remarkable what we've seen out there already. So their first tournament was in that first week of April after the diamonds were completed. We only did the front four diamonds right now. The back four will be done later this year. We've already had 6 tournaments, including the one that's coming this weekend, and it's been an incredible success. In the 6 tournaments that we will have had, the lowest number of teams that have been here have been 28.
Wow.
The highest number of teams that we've had was 40. Average number of players per team is 13. And the estimated number of people visiting during those tournaments is probably about 3,500 people. It's been between 3,000 and 5,000 people visiting Decatur County for those tournaments, and most of those people are from out of town. Some of the teams that have come here for these tournaments are from Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio. It's been pretty remarkable what we're seeing here as far as the first year, the first month and a half of this turf being on the ground and the impact that it's having, because a number of these folks are having to stay in our local hotels. When they're staying in our hotels, they're going to our local restaurants to eat. And so I'm talking to some business owners, and they're seeing an impact on these weekends with these tournaments because they're having extra traffic. The organizations that is putting on these tournaments, they signed a 5-year contract where they're bringing a minimum of 15 teams every single year. It's pretty cool to see that this is something we're going to continue to see, and I think it's going to grow, especially with those back four diamonds being done. This is only going to continue to grow and get larger because the teams that are coming, they have fantastic reviews of what our facilities are going to do.
And again, it generates income for our county.
It does, yeah. So the concession stand alone during these tournaments, over $7,000 a weekend.
That's a lot of popcorn, isn't it?
It's a lot of popcorn. It's a lot of drinks, and this money is going to fund the Parks Department. When we're looking at, again, that ability to generate revenue, this is one of the few areas that as a county government you can generate revenue that's not tax-based. And so that means less tax dollars going to parks that can fund the Parks Department. It's a great option here, and it's a great way for us to bring more people to Decatur County to sell from our local businesses, to get the hotel tax revenue that supports tourism. Again, less tax dollars that are having to go out to support our different departments.
Now, the one discussion that I've kind of heard out in the public is the accessibility now of those diamonds. So kind of explain how that process works.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different now than what it used to be. The diamonds were always open before for practice, for folks just to go out on a random weekend evening to use the facilities. That was great for accessibility for the community. The issue that we did run into from a maintenance standpoint is sometimes those facilities were misused or maybe abused. We have had people do donuts on the infield before. And when you're putting the kind of investment that we did into the turf out at the Diamonds, we need to avoid that. And so what we have done is we set up a portal where folks can go in and actually reserve the facilities so that they can go in and use them. It's free to our county residents to use. All you have to do is you go onto the Parks Department. You can then reserve a time. It can be unlocked for you. As long as they have proper notice, they can get it out there, get it unlocked. But anybody can use them. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that if you want to use the facilities, they aren't booked, you can use them.
They're open.
Yes.
Open
Absolutely.
to reserve them.
We just need to make sure that the facilities aren't abused or vandalized in any way.
All right. Roads are always a hot topic here.
Yes, they are. Yeah, and it's one of those things that is always a big concern to me because it affects our lives every single day. It doesn't matter where you live in Decatur County. More than likely, you're going to be driving on a county road at some point. And so we need to make sure that those roads are passable, that
this
they're
is the
good,
season of potholes. Let's call it that.
That we don't have potholes, every 50 feet. And so here over the last couple of days, I've gone and I've done some digging kind of on what we have done here in Decatur County to improve our roads. So just for context, I think it's about 630 total miles of roads here in Decatur County that are county controlled. So Decatur County does not do the roads here in Greensburg. Those are the city's responsibility. So we're talking about everything else that is outside of Greensburg. So roughly 630 miles of roads to take care of and maintain. This year we have one community crossing grant program that is going on. And so the community crossing grant is, again, another state-funded program. 75% of the funding for those projects comes from the state. 25% comes from Decatur County. That 25% is funded by your wheel tax. I know a lot of people don't like it. I don't like additional taxes, but this is one of the taxes that has a direct impact on your community. And so those funds come right back to Decatur County to help improve our roads. And so for the community crossing grant project that's going to start here in June is going to be chip and seal. We're doing 116 miles of chip and seal, and the total project is almost $2 million.
It amazes me the cost per mile.
It's incredible. So for this 2025 project, it's like $17,000 per mile for chip and seal. That's not asphalt. Asphalt is more expensive. Concrete's more expensive. This is just chip and seal. And so when you look at the projects that we're doing for this year and those that we did last year, we've done over 200 miles of chip and seal and asphalt in the last 2 years. So we've hit roughly a third of the roads here in Decatur County in the last 2 years through community crossing grant programs. Yep.
And there's still more roads to go, but that's
a lot more roads to go.
And coming off of winter, and we had a rough winter. We had a lot of precipitation.
It was one of those winters that we haven't had in a while. I know we definitely had some issues with keeping the roads cleared because of the amount of wind that we were having, and I think that between our EMA partners, the Sheriff's Department, Police Department, EMS and Fire, we were able to keep our knowledge up about where we needed to go and hit those roads a little bit harder than maybe some other areas. But when you're a smaller county and you have a smaller workforce in the highway department and you have over 600 miles of roads, you can't get everywhere all at the same time.
And then you look at, because we had the big snow, but we had several smaller ones. Just the damage done to the roads during that time of clearing, and so now you're left with, again, we're going to chip and seal to repair what we can and make it better.
And our guys are out there every single week fixing potholes, and they are busy every day out there trying to maintain our roads, maintain our bridges, because we do have the bridges that we have to maintain as well. So you have to make sure that structurally the base of the bridge over a creek or a river is being maintained as well. And so the crews are busy all the time, whether they're doing hot patch for those potholes or they're maintaining other parts of the infrastructure, they're staying busy.
And you said that'll start in June or July? Yeah,
so the chip and seal project's going to start in June. We will be applying for another community crossing grant. It'll be 2025-2 for community crossing. We're going to be applying for that later this summer. That project probably would not get done until the end of 2025 or maybe the beginning of 2026.
Okay. Let's talk comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over the last year and a half or so, the comprehensive plan has come up because we've had the discussions for solar, industrial solar, coming to Decatur County. The process in talking with so many different people here in the community, looking at our solar ordinance, looking at the guidance that's put out from Purdue University, it looks like we had a great start with our solar ordinance. And without experiencing the same process here that we did with RWE and now with Cobia, it looks like there are some things that we can improve on. And I think when you're looking at the comprehensive plan, I think it's a great time to go and actually review it. It's supposed to be reviewed sooner than what it actually was initially. And so I think it's a great time to go and review it and make sure that the comprehensive plan is appropriately reflecting the views and the sentiments of our community. Everybody's actively involved right now because of the solar project, no matter which side you're on. And so I'm really hoping that we can capture that involvement and that interest in the solar part of the county for this comprehensive plan. And so the initial survey for the comprehensive plan is going to be sent out here in the next couple of days, is my understanding.
Does that go to all residents of Decatur County?
It's going to be available to everybody, not just here in Decatur County, but outside the community as well.
Okay.
So it'll be on the county website. It's going to be at the APC office. We're going to make it available online. You can find it in other locations as well. I haven't seen where other physical copies will be. And so this is part of a process. So we're applying for an OKRA grant in Office of County and Rural Affairs. It's a state department. We're applying for an OKRA grant because we can get up to $60,000 for the comprehensive plan review if we get the OKRA grant. And then we would have, as a county, we would then have to cover the remainder of that cost. And so part of that process is that we have to have the surveys done to show that there's the community involvement, community interest as well with going in and reviewing our comprehensive plan. So we want folks to go and fill out this survey to show what things they want to see in Decatur County, what things they don't like as part of our current comprehensive plan. And so that way we have that involvement and we can take that and use that as part of our application.
So kind of take us through the steps of reviewing that. So once this survey is filled out, maybe we've got somebody out there listening, they're like, you know what, I want to be a part of that. So what, from the survey, then what's the next step with that?
So we'll have to have the application submitted. We'll have to receive the application. We'll move forward with the comprehensive plan, whether we get the OKRA grant or not. I think it looks really good that we will get the OKRA grant. But once we get moving forward with the actual comprehensive plan review, we will have different committees for different aspects of the comprehensive plan so that we can get input from different members in our community that represent different segments of Decatur County, whether it's ag or it's industrial or just residential. We'll have different community members come in and actually sit on these committees so that we can have input from lots of different folks and different ideologies, different viewpoints, to be able to form a comprehensive plan that reflects what our community wants, what our community needs, and what we need to protect as well. We're an agricultural community. I think that's probably why most people live here. I know that's part of why I had moved here back in 2017 was I grew up on a farm up in northern Indiana, and I wanted to make sure that I was still living in a rural community where I didn't have a lot of neighbors and I could be out in the country. So we want to make sure that we protect that, and we also want to make sure that we have the ability to build houses out in the county, to have that kind of development and responsible development that reflects what our county sentiment is.
So that coming months, we'll hear more about that as it continues.
It's not a short process. It's something that will take quite a long time. It'll be probably over a year to get the project done, the whole comprehensive review done, but it's something that we want that community involvement in so that we don't just have one viewpoint reflected in the comprehensive plan.
All right, so stay tuned because we'll have updates with that as we progress.
Yep, and we discuss it, I ask for updates from our APC director, Doug Westerfeld, probably every meeting or maybe every other meeting, just to kind of get an update on where we are.
What's happening, right?
That's right.
EMA going through a little bit of change. There's a job posting right now for EMA director?
Yeah, EMA director, that position, that posting is going to stay up, I think, through the end of May. And then the EMA board is going to be doing those interviews. And once the EMA board does the interviews. They'll make a recommendation to the commissioners for who the next EMA director should be.
All right, and that opening, you can find that on the county website?
Yes, ma'am. And if you have any questions or concerns about it, you can call Patty Hensley, our HR director, and she'll be able to answer those. Or you can call me or one of the other commissioners, and we can direct you the right way.
All right, so we do want to acknowledge the other two commissioners,
Yep.
Gabe Nobby and Brian Winning. And so people understand we can't have all three of you in one spot when it's not a meeting.
That's right. Yeah, if all three of us were to be together, actually, if only two of us were to be together, that would be considered a quorum.
Yes.
Since there's only three commissioners, and so we do have to be separate for those kinds of things. It is a little difficult sometimes because, I mean, more than likely in a small community like this, we run around in the same places. And so for things like this, it does have to just be one of us to come in and speak with you. That way we don't have to avoid any of the open door laws or anything like that, any of those concerns.
We like to avoid all issues.
We certainly do. Yep.
So let's talk, and there's been a lot of discussion about SB1. If you don't know what SB1 is, then you've been living under a rock for the past couple of months. But there's going to be a lot of change as far as funding coming from the state down. So what does that look for the county when you guys are trying to plan?
Yeah, so SB1 affects our property tax revenue. Some of the initial projections that were made by the state will show a large deficit for 26, 2027, 2028. The commissioners have gotten some information from Baker Tilly that shows what that deficit's going to be for the next couple of years as well. And based on those numbers, we've actually already gone ahead and retained Baker Tilly to do another financial analysis for all of our funding sources going forward. Last year was the first year that Decatur County's ever had a financial review done of all of the different accounts for the county. That was something that myself and former commissioners Tony Blodgett and Mark Kors had pursued. That way we had a true understanding of all of the revenue streams from tax revenue and how that money is already allocated every year. So that way we could appropriately plan on future expenditures when we're looking at doing projects like the fairgrounds or making additional investments into our roads or other infrastructure. Without that extra financial analysis, you're almost flying blind. And so we want to avoid that. And so we went ahead and based on the changes from SB1, it affects not only property tax revenue, but also local income tax revenue. And so we want to have a full understanding of exactly what our anticipated revenue is going to be. The numbers that have been put out, both from the state and from Baker Tilly, are initial projections. There's a lot to parse out, if you will, through SB1 to look at that revenue and to see what kind of impact it's going to have here on Decatur County so that we can make the appropriate adjustments to the budget and see where we need to cut so that we can continue to provide services to the community. It's the biggest thing that I want to see is I want to make sure that we're still providing the services that we need here in Decatur County. And so if there are things that we need to cut, we need to be talking about that and having those conversations so that we can make sure that everybody is able to use the same facilities that they already have. We're able to continue to provide services so that we don't see a cut in any of those things.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a minute, just for further explanation. When you're saying there's going to be, it's predicting a deficit.
Yes.
And we've heard that along with SB1, city, county, across the state. But then, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yes, ma'am.
But then again, we're spending money, right?
Yep.
Because that's what people see. So
Yep.
tell us how that balances out. And again, it's ready, it's Okra grants, it's different money. But they hear deficit, and so they think, why are we spending?
Yeah, so when you see the larger numbers for the potential deficit, it's coming from different areas. That's not just one funding stream. So when we're looking at expenditures that are made for like the READY project, those are coming from local income tax revenue. And so that's different from our county general, which is what funds our buildings and other services, insurance for employees. The highway department and their funding comes from a different source. That was through the wheel tax, that's through gas tax. So the highway department is actually funded for the most part through other money, not from county general money. The highway department actually submits their budget to the state, and the state approves their budget. They do submit it to the council to be aware of what exactly their different funding streams are and what their expenditures will be, but that's actually approved at the state level. And so the highway department with the wheel tax and the gas tax, that's where they get a majority of their funding. The Parks Department is also going to be impacted by SB 1 because the Parks Department has a property tax levy. So any county resident, whether you live in Greensburg or you live out in the county, is paying your property tax, and a portion of that goes to funding the Parks Department. Same with the Health Department. And so when we're looking at cuts across the board, it includes county general, but also your Parks Department and your Health Department is going to be impacted. So I think as a county government, we need to be aware of what those different impacts are going to be for those different departments that are relying on that funding, so that if we need to help those departments continue to provide crucial services to Decatur County residents, we're in a position that we can do that.
Well, I think it's important, and you did a great job explaining that all funding sources come in a different streams, different lines. And so just because you might see a change or an improvement happening doesn't mean that's directly coming from the deficit we're expecting from the property taxes.
That's right. And so when also you look at the ball diamonds, that was a group effort. The funding did not just come from the county. There was money that came from the TIF board. A large portion came from there. A large portion came from the Regional Development Commission. Part of it came from the city RDC. Money came from ARPA, which was COVID money from the federal government to improve the outdoor recreational activity, I guess, if you will. And so part of that money came from that federal program. Other money came from the county from our edit, and that is funded by the local income tax. So there were a number of different, I guess, organizations or entities that were contributing funds to that project. It was not solely funded by Decatur County government.
All right, so much going on throughout Decatur County. We've covered a good portion. Anything else that you want to hit today?
No, I think that those are the largest ones that we have on our plate
just a
right
few
now.
Things.
Yeah, just a couple of things, and I think folks would be pretty amazed at the amount of time that goes into all of these different things, because there's so many different aspects on each one of these projects. We're working hard. We're busy.
I know Brian and Gabe each kind of have their own things they're working on as well, so we'll get updates from them in coming months as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, one of the biggest things that I always try to tell people is call us. If there's something that you see on a road, there's a big pothole or something like that out there, you have a question about something, I know myself, I'm available. My phone number is on the county website. You can call me. I'm on Facebook. I'm active on Facebook. You can see a lot of updates there. You can find a lot of updates also on our county Facebook page. So if you have questions or you have a concern about something, reach out. We're at a place where we want to make sure that folks have information about what's going on here in Decatur County, so that we can address your concerns, so that we can make sure that things are moving in the right direction.
I always laugh. People say, well, this is, they have a complaint. I'm like, well, call and tell them.
Yes.
Or like, you do? I'm like, well, I see them. But yeah, I just call and tell them. That way they're going to know. Because if you don't know, you can't address it.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, particularly with the roads, I can't drive every single road in Decatur County every single day. And so there's going to be things that I don't know about here in Decatur County, and I don't know unless somebody calls me and tells me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll look forward to having you back next month, and we'll be approaching the fair scarily.
It's right around the corner. Yeah,
it is. So get ready for that. But it will go on as normal. All the construction stuff's going on, but the fair will still happen.
I think it's going to be really, really exciting to see where this progress is taking us with the project out there at the fairgrounds. We're going to have a booth set up for the new building so that folks can come by and get information. We're going to have some diagrams out so that folks can see exactly what it is that we're doing. I'm pretty excited about that option.
So many changes, but it's good.
It is.
It's good stuff.
Yep.
So the bathrooms, again, you made my whole day. That's all it took right there. All right. Again, thanks for coming in. We will see you next month.
Thanks, Emily.
It's 1041 on Tree Country.